Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my podcast where we talk about adulting and student life. Now, before we proceed with our first episode, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so that you will always be updated whenever I upload a new podcast. Now, for our very first episode, I chose this topic because I think every one of us can relate to this topic. And for our first episode, let us answer the question how to deal with failure. But before we do that, let us first define what we mean when we say failure. Now, if you try to look for the definition of failure, and if you will check it on the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, you can see there that failure is defined as number 1, omission of occurrence or performance. Second, a lack of success. Third, a falling short. And for the fourth one is one that has failed. Now, if you try to observe and analyze the definition given by Merriam, when it comes to the word failure, you will be able to categorize failure into two definitions. Now, for the first one is it is an absolute failure or totally 0%. Parang wala kang na-reach. And for the second one is deficient. Ibig sabihin, you were able to get some result pero kulang yung result na nakuha mo or you were not able to meet the result that you wanted to. Now here on my notes, I listed here some of the things that you can do so that you can deal with failure. Now for the first one, the first thing that you need to do is to move on, but you need to move on fast. So hindi sufficient na mag-move on ka lang, but you need to do the moving on process fast. It is for the reason that there are still activities or tasks that you need to accomplish. And if you stay on your condition na nagmumukmuk ka or umiiyak ka or you are still in the process of moving on and hindi ka pa nakakalagpas dun sa process na yun, you will not be able, just like what I said, you will not be able to accomplish your pending tasks or activities. Although I admit na each of us have different pace when it comes to moving on, but I highly suggest na you try your best na makapag-move on agad para nga ma-accomplish mo na yung mga activities or pending tasks that you still need to accomplish. Now, when it comes to moving on, just like yung sa pace ng pag-move on, iba-iba rin yung method na pwede nating i-apply sa sarili natin when it comes to moving on. And you will be able to determine that through trial and error. So let's say, for example, you failed to do this or you failed to accomplish this task. For example, you can try eating sa fast food, or you can also try walking alone sa parks. Diba? Kanya-kanya rin tayo ng way or method on how to move on. And just like what I said, the method of moving on is a trial and error. Now, when it comes to me, whenever I encounter failure, I eat. Yun yung parang stress reliever ko, eating. But sometimes I choose to be alone or I do me time so that I can assess myself and that and so that I will be able to move on easily. So those are just some of the ways or method on how you can easily move on. Now, second, there are things beyond your control. So an example of which is, let's say you are a senior high school student right now, and you will be taking an admission test or college admission test. Now, when it comes to admission test, the exam to be administered is already beyond your control, meaning you do not know what are the possible questions which will be asked to you by the university, and the events which may occur, like for example traffic or some accidents which you may encounter during the exam, or things beyond your control already. Hence, ano ba yung sinasabi ko here? What I am saying is, sometimes we fail because of the things which are already beyond our control. But of course, there are also things within our control. Using our example a while ago, we said that the questions to be asked by the university is an example of things beyond your control. Now, your study habits, the topics that you will be reviewing for, intended for the examination, now those are things that are within your control, and those are the things that you need to focus on. Now, for the fourth one is acceptance. Now, you need to accept, it's not number 4, but it's number 3. For number 3, it's acceptance. So you need to accept that at some point of your life, you will encounter failure. You need to accept the fact that you are still a human being, and that hindi lahat ng ina-expect mo, you will get it. Sabi nga sa law school, hindi araw-araw Pasko. So there are times in which you will fail, and there are times in which you will get, let's say for example, a good recit, and there are times that you get bad recit. So you need to accept that at some point in life you will encounter failure. Even superheroes, diba? Even superheroes encounter failure. Now, I'm not sure if you already watched Avengers Infinity War. If you haven't, spoiler alert, but I will be spoiling some scenes in Infinity War. When it comes to Infinity War, the Avengers, the mightiest heroes, failed to save 50% of the life in the universe. Diba? They failed to stop Thanos from snapping his fingers, and as a result thereto, 50% or half the life in the universe disappeared. Fortunately, sa Endgame, they were able to go back in time and get the stones back, and they were able to revive said 50%. So my point is, even superheroes failed at some point. Ikaw pa kaya na human being? Diba? So again, you need to accept that at some point you will fail. But I am not romanticizing failure. Iba naman yung parang relax na, yung chill na okay lang sa kanila mag-fail. When it comes to failure, if you think na you were able to give your 110%, but you still failed, okay lang yun. Pero if you failed kasi you did not give any or you did not exert any effort, yun may problema na tayo doon. For the next one, you should look at failure not as failure, but you should look at failure as a trial. So meaning, ibig sabihin lang nito, you are just being tested in order for you to become a better version of yourself. Now, in life, para wag kang ma-stress, you should look at things at another angle. And this is a good example of that. You should look at failure as a trial, which will make us go to our next one on the list, which is you need to learn from your failures, because these failures are preparing you for something big. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga failures na nalasan mo, pinagtitibay ka lang nun para sa role na possible mong gampanan sa darating na panahon. So, these failures are just preparing you for something big. Now, for the next one I have here on my list, perfect timing. So, sometimes we fail not because we are not qualified, but because of the timing. Ibig sabihin, wala tayo sa tamang timing. And because of that, we fail. So, let's say, for example, you joined a singing competition, but for your first try, nakalaban mo yung defending champion. So, there may be a probability na matalo ka ng defending champion kasi of course, alam na ng defending champion kung paano niya gagawin yung singing contest. Now, for your second try, what if hindi na sumali yung defending champion? Let's say, for example, ikaw yung first runner-up sa past competition together with the defending champion na nag-champion din. Now, for the second singing contest, hindi na sumali yung defending champion. Now, there may be a chance na ikaw na yung manalo sa singing competition na iyon. So, sometimes we fail because wala tayo sa tamang timing. Diba? Pia Alonso Wurtzbach joined Binibining Pilipinas, as far as I know, 3 times before she won the title of Miss Universe Philippines. Then, yun pala, sa ikatatlong try niya, magiging Miss Universe Philippines siya and she will win the title of Miss Universe. Diba? So, minsan, it is with the perfect timing. So, baka ngayon hindi pa siya para sa'yo, pero baka next try mo, second try or sa third try, baka on that third try, baka you will already be able to reach the success. Now, for the next one, you should assess and reevaluate. So, baka minsan, ikaw na talaga yung may problema or baka naman it is not your forte. Kaya naman baka it's time to let go with what you are currently doing. So, again, you need to assess or reevaluate yourself. So, let's say, for example, you are applying for a job and you have already submitted more than 3 resumes and still, you are still not being accepted by the different human resources department, then maybe try to reevaluate and assess if baka ikaw na talaga yung may problema or baka naman baka may problema when it comes to your qualifications. And if you have already assessed and reevaluated yourselves, you will be able to determine what parts or what qualities should you improve so that you will be able to get the result that you are looking for. Now, next one, you should try again. So, huwag kang mawawala ng pag-asa. If you failed, let's say for example, you failed a singing competition or a public speaking competition. Let's say you failed on your first try. Try again for the second time. Kasi just like what we said, sa perfect timing, baka at that moment, baka hindi pa talaga para sa'yo. Pero baka naman on your second try, baka yun na talaga yung time na you will be able to get the output that you are looking for. Now, the next one is the cookie jar method. Now, I have learned this method from YouTube, and you will be doing this whenever you are in a situation in which you feel na you are already stressed or burned out from all of your activities. Now, for this cookie jar method, what you will be doing is you will get a cookie from the jar, and while eating said cookie, you will be thinking of all of your achievements or your past achievements. And from there, you will realize na your current tasks, parang simple lang pala siya as compared to the past activities that you did. Now, the next one that you should do is to not forget to pray, especially when you are in a bad situation or a difficult situation. You should pray in order for you to seek guidance from Him. Now, before I end this episode, I would like to end it with a quote or a line from one of the K-drama which I love, Reply 1988, I think. I failed to put here a citation, so I think it's from Reply 1988, and it says here, life is like a chocolate box. You will never know what is inside if you will not open it. So it means you should not be afraid of taking risks. You should not be afraid of getting out of your comfort zone, kasi you do not know what will happen unless you will try. So with that, this is the end of our podcast. Thank you so much for listening up until the end of our first episode. Please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel so that you will always be updated whenever I upload new podcasts here on my channel. Always remember, be an inspiration to other people.